Please call the roll.
Robin Hanger.
Here.
Loretta Arthur. Dennis Smith.
Here.
Tony Casada.
Here.
Mike Meyer.
Here. Please join me in the invocation. Tony, will you lead us?
Go ahead.
Lord, we just thank you for this day and time. We pray that you will give us wisdom and help us to make good judgments for the citizens of Holly Hill. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody get a chance to look over the minutes. Any additions, corrections, deletions? No. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I have two motions to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll do a second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Please call the question.
Robin Hanger.
Yes.
Tony Casada.
Yeah.
Dennis Smith. Mike Meyer.
Yes, motion carries. All right. Mr. Walker, I reckon that brings us to you.
Yes, Chairman. This is a rezone request for a property that we're probably all familiar with on the corner of 3rd Street and Ridgewood. It is a property that's approximately 5.4 acres in size, and the applicant is requesting a rezone from MPUD, Mixed Use Development District, to RPUD, Residential Plan Unit Development. There's also an associated development agreement and a preliminary plan that is going along with this rezone. The applicant is also requesting a density bonus, and I'll go a little bit more into that in just a few minutes. As mentioned, the property is currently zoned MPUD. It has a future land use of mixed use 2, and the current zoning that's in place allows 2 7-story structures that contain a total of 172 age-restricted affordable housing units, and they were proposing some limited commercial activity as well. But for various reasons, this particular development never moved forward. So it's the same property owner, but there's a new applicant. The applicant now wishes to develop the property as a 120-unit multifamily, non-age restricted, market rate housing development. The base residential density that's permitted with this particular land use, the mixed use 2 land use, is 20 dwelling units an acre, but there are performance standards that can be met in order to get a bonus. And this would allow a density bonus, if the performance standards are met, up to an additional 15 dwelling units an acre. The applicant this evening is requesting a density bonus of 2.22 dwelling units an acre, which would give them a total of 22.22 dwelling units an acre. And they are requesting this bonus based on a couple of criteria. Now, the applicant did submit an actual formal request, and that is attached in your agenda packet, but I'll briefly go over a couple of them. One is that you consolidate multiple parcels, and they are doing that. This particular project right now consists of 4 individual parcels. They have, in fact, the property owner, Mr. Rainey, came in today and picked up the paperwork that we had prepared for him to get that down to the property appraiser in order to unify these 4 independent parcels into one parcel. So there is that consolidation that's taking place. The other has to do with rehabilitation. We all know that the site has been vacant for probably 15, 17 years, somewhere in that area. The applicant is proposing to develop the property, and this would be considered a rehabilitation of that specific property. I'll go over with you a couple of the major changes that are proposed, changes that occur between having the MPUD and the RPUD, and what the differences are. One, under the current PD, the average minimum unit size is 574 square feet. Under the proposed PD, there'd be a one-bedroom, which would be approximately 776 square feet, and a two-bedroom, which would be approximately 922 square feet. So the average minimum unit size would increase with this proposed rezone. The type of development. The current PD has age-restricted affordable senior housing, limited commercial. The proposed PD has non-age-restricted market rate housing. So that is significant. Phasing, under the current PD, they propose to phase in the development. With the proposed PD, there would not be any phasing. And next would be elevations. Under the current PD, as mentioned, there would be 2 7-story buildings. Under the proposed PD, it would be 4 3-story buildings. Your staff report does contain a mistake. It says 4 2-story buildings. And that shows the reason why I shouldn't do these reports prior to having my coffee. So I have corrected that, and that will be corrected before this item goes to the City Commission. But it is 4 3-story buildings. In your staff report, there's a flu and zoning analysis of the surrounding properties. I won't go through all of that unless you have specific questions. And the same with the site analysis that is included in your staff report. I won't go through every item unless you have any specific questions with regard to the site.
Does everyone in the audience understand what a flu is? Future land use? Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. Also in your staff report, there is a review of the rezone application. And what that has is the criteria under Section 82-372 of the Land Development Regulations, the criteria that shows what you as a Board of Planning and Appeals and what the City Commission has to consider when it comes to rezoning a piece of property and whether or not the rezone would be appropriate. There are 8 items. I won't go over all of them, but I will highlight 2 of them. The first has to do with whether or not the rezone is consistent with all of the adopted elements of the comprehensive plan. Staff did review this request. It's been evaluated for consistency with all of the applicable policies of the comprehensive plan. And per flu policy 1.1.2, the base residential density is 20 units an acre, with the density bonus allowing up to 35 dwelling units an acre. And as mentioned, the proposed development does request a density bonus of 2.22 units an acre, which, if granted, would still be within the limits of the allowable dwelling units per acre. Also, per flu policy 1.1.5, the city is compelled to review the rezone request for consistency with the uses and density and compatibility of the comprehensive plan. So staff did review that, and the uses and density proposed within the RPUD zoning classification are compatible with the mixed-use future land use designation. One more item that I'll highlight has to do with this development's impact upon any existing necessary governmental services. We're talking about things like schools and sewage and transportation, solid waste. Obviously, we're going from a 5-acre vacant piece of property to 4 3-story buildings and 120 apartment units. There will definitely be an effect or a load placed on the city's water, sewage, and transportation. However, these have been evaluated and found to be appropriate and not anything that the city systems will not be able to handle. The rezoning request overall is consistent with the goals, objectives, and the policies of the city's comprehensive plan and the land development regulations, and also the pattern of development in the area. Prior, however, to making my recommendation, there are a couple of things that I would like to point out for the board. One, on page 18 of your packet, under the development agreement, under item G, I just want to make sure that the board understands that all of the open space percentages pertain to the gross square footage of the property. So within that paragraph, G, when it discusses general open space, it says shall be 25% of the gross square footage of the subject property. But then when it talks about common open space, it just says 15% of the subject property. The project engineer has done a very good job of making sure that all of the open space requirements are met and that those are based on the gross square footage. But what I will do is update that particular portion just to make sure that it is consistent. Also, the elevations. In pages 47 through 53, there are elevations that have been associated with this particular staff report. You can consider those elevations to basically be voided. We're taking them out, and they have been replaced. They've been replaced with the elevations that, or choices that have been provided on hard copy in front of you. And then I also have a PDF of the various choices or styles that the developer has provided. We got some of these updates this morning, and that's why they were not part of this agenda packet. Can we no, there we go. Perfect. So you'll notice, however, that a lot of these elevations are 4 stories, but they can also be done in a 3-story style. So these are the elevations. A final elevation, 1 or 2, will be nailed down more specifically prior to going to the City Commission for a first reading. But I just wanted to let you know that the ones in your packet, don't consider those. These are the elevations and the type of development that the developer is proposing. So based on this and what you have seen, staff's recommendation will be to recommend that the City Commission adopt an ordinance enacting a rezone from MPUD, Mixed-Use Development District, to RPUD, Residential Plan Unit Development, with the associated development agreement and preliminary plan, including a density bonus, for approximately 5.4 acres located on the northeast corner of Ridgewood Avenue and 3rd Street. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is there someone here from the development that would like to speak?
Chairman, this is a quasi-judicial hearing, so at some point, you need to disclose any ex parte communications by the board members.
Okay. Have there been? No?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having us today. My name is Amir Malik. I'm the project engineer and consultant for the developer. And basically, Brian's done a pretty good job of explaining the majority of what we're proposing here today. And, you know, basically, like he said, 4 3-story apartment buildings. You know, we're meeting all the requirements essentially except for the land use density, which we're asking for a bonus on. More than anything, I'd like to be here to answer any questions you have. If there's anything specific about the site that we've been working on, I can answer for you. I think at that point, I'll just leave it open to you guys.
Does anyone on the board have a question for Mr. Malik?
No.
All right, thank you, Mr. Malik. At
right,
present,
thank
we
you.
don't, but you might get some. Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this project? Okay, to speak for it? Come ahead, Ms. Heidi. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hi there, I am Heidi Heller of 460 Ridgewood Avenue, Holly Hill, Florida. Thank you very much for allowing me a short time. I'd also like to thank Mr. Shah, Mr. Penubali, Mr. Bhavanasi for their choice in Holly Hill, and I hope that we exceed their expectations for the apartment building. So a couple quick questions. According to the brochure, which is the 7.1.AA, you mentioned that there's apartment projects and hotels. And I just want to confirm that this is going to be a totally an apartment project. I'd like to say thank you also about the possibility of a bus shelter. Hopefully, there's a bench that also has wheelchair access. The other thing that you have in your brochure was its saltwater pool. I just wanted to confirm that it is a saltwater pool, or it will be a freshwater pool. Thank you.
Mr. Malik, would you like to answer those questions for us, please?
Certainly. The first one was the saltwater pool, and we're absolutely planning on doing that. And I'm sorry, that your first question was?
Bus shelter for benches and hotels versus apartments.
Okay. With the bus stops, absolutely, we can look at that. I think we'd have to discuss with the city, just because it's their right of way, but I'm sure we'd be happy to offer any of those types of amenities that we can. And in terms of the hotel, there's no hotel use. No hotel use proposed.
Just a correction.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Chair, so Ridgewood is actually the state's right-of-way. It's an FDOT road, so it would be the state's right-of-way, and they would need to coordinate with VOTRAN as far as discussing what type of bus benches and shelter
Right.
and that type
Shelter,
of thing.
right.
But it certainly is a discussion that they can have with VOTRAN
Okay.
and work with them in accomplishing that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that we would definitely, but we can do what we can. You know, we only have so much frontage available, and that's typically where they'll let us work. If they have a bus stop in the area and it's something that's feasible, absolutely.
Yeah. There is a bus stop there. There is no shelter there.
My question.
Yes, sir. You're recognized.
One entrance and exit on Ridgewood and one on Third.
I thought that was an exit. Is that an entrance and exit?
The third street is an exit only,
Exit only.
exit only,
Ridgewood is,
entry and exit. But it's right out only because of the median.
Right, only, and it's only on the one end. It's on the north end.
on the north end of the complex.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, sir, then tell us who you, walk up here and tell us who you are and where you're from.
Good evening. My name is Don Kane, 101 University Boulevard, Daytona Beach. I just would ask it looks like a worthwhile project, and certainly Holly Hill needs the tax revenue. But I would just like the developer to explain or clarify the buffer zone more. Is there going to be a wall around separating the residents that are on 3rd Street and Daytona Avenue, or a fence? And will there be trees and everything? So if the developer could answer that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. We will see what he has to say.
Do you have any idea how much the apartments are going to rent for?
No, sir, I do not.
No. Okay, thank you.
Yes, and you're pulling up the concept plan.
I'm trying, yes.
Okay, so that's the full landscape plan.
Do you want me to
If
keep
you-
scrolling?
Is it still scrolling? Yeah, there we go.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So if you can see, I know it's kind of difficult without zooming in, but all those darker blotches kind of that are all around the perimeter there, that is where we intend on having landscaping, landscape trees and things of that nature. And basically, it's on all 4 sides, as you can see. On the Ridgewood side, it's a 25-foot enhanced landscape buffer, so it's going to be, 25 feet from the right-of-way that has landscaping in it. On the north side, it's 10 feet, and as well as on the back end, on the kind of top left notch there. And as you come around, you're at 10 feet. But we have the fence that's going to be there and then the landscaping outside of the fence. It may be the other way around, where the fence is there and then the landscaping.
How tall is the fence?
I believe it's going to be per code 6 feet tall, and I think it has to have slots in it. Most likely something wrought iron, I'm guessing. I can't give you the specifics of that at this point, but there will be a fence there.
And you have a 15-foot buffer on the 3rd Street
On
side.
3rd Street side, we have 15 foot there. It's a little enhanced there because there used to be a building right next, well, there is a building right next to it. So on that one, you have 15 feet instead of 10 feet that's required. Again, they're all going to have landscaping and fence the whole way around. The fence would be kind of right on the top left.
Mr. Malik,
Entrance.
would you speak into the microphone?
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
The entrance on the top left, the fence will be kind of right near the beginning of the building, right where they curve, right where the driveway comes in, it starts to curve. It'll be just a few feet in front of the curve. And then on the bottom south side, it'll be basically right where the building is and come across, and then it'll follow the property lines up. With setbacks, landscape setbacks behind it, landscape buffers behind it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? If there's no others to speak, I would accept a motion to recommend to the City Commission adopt the ordinance enacting the rezone from MPUD Mixed-Use Development District to RPUD Residential Plan Unit Development with the associated development agreement and preliminary plan, including a density bonus for approximately 5.4 acres located on the northeast corner of Ridgewood Avenue and 3rd Street. Do I have a motion?
Motion accept.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Please call the question.
Dennis Smith,
Yes.
Robin Hanger,
Yes.
Tony Casada,
Yes.
Michael Meyer.
Yes. Motion approved. So when did they go to the commission?
They're going to go to the second Tuesday in January.
Second
Will be for
Tuesday.
first reading. So the date of that is going to be the 10th.
Okay, that's Jan 10. All righty. Well, do we have any old business that we need to take care of?
We don't have any old business. I would like to get a commitment from the board with regard to the January meeting date. The first Monday in January, we are closed because New Year's is on Sunday.
Right.
So we are closed on Monday. That would bring us to January 9th, which would be the second Monday in January. So it would move the meeting up. And we do have an item that will be coming before this board, but I would like to make sure that all of the board members are going to be present, or at least that we can have a quorum for the 9th. And then I will, at that meeting, have a calendar for you and we'll get that calendar to you ahead of time, which will look at the various Mondays throughout the month,
Okay.
Here.
right, throughout the year.
I'm available.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. So then we will have a meeting January 9th.
All right, January the 9th it is.
Yes.
I lost my agenda, but I think that's in it. If there's no other business, Scott, do you have anything for us?
Just wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Hope everybody's safe and happy. And see you next year.
Sounds great. All right. So thank you all for coming tonight, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's go home.